coming back here again. I'm Linda.
I'm Caitlin.
And we are here to talk about scary stories. We're going to share some of our scary stories for you guys, as well as we asked our followers and all of you to send in us your scariest encounters, scariest, most terrifying stories.
And you guys did the job.
Yeah, you guys did the job, delivered 100%. So we're going to sit back, relax, and get into these scary stories. Just sat down here. Okay,
So,
do you want to tell your terrifying story that you've experienced? I mean, it could be at a location that we've been to, or just anything that's kind of been odd or terrifying that's happened to you.
start with mine first.
Okay.
So this took place around the time that I was like 17 or 18. It was Halloween night, and the people in the house were only me, Kayla, and her sister.
Yeah.
And we were just trying to scare each other and spook her little sister because we were evil like that. And so we were looking at scary videos, and you know, the videos then were terrifying.
Yeah, I remember this one, and I'll tell it quickly. To not interrupt your story, but I remember this one, and it showed a group of people like driving down the road, and there was this lady just walking around, and they picked her up, and like her face started morphing in their car, like acting all freaky. That video used to terrify me. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, then you'll know. But yeah, go ahead with your story.
Okay, so we were getting really, really scared, and Kayla just jokingly said, what would happen if we looked over to the door and a face popped up in the window? And I was like, Kayla, don't say that. Like that's
Right.
not even funny. But seriously, about that time, I kid you not, we turned and we looked at the window, and there was a face peering in from the little square in the window. And it was completely white. Like death white.
What?
Yeah.
See, that is so creepy for me. If anyone personally knows me at all, I don't like faces looking in windows at all.
Yeah.
Like if I go to a haunted, like creepy haunted place, you know, I always feel like something's looking in the window of the car at me. Like, so just
It was terrifying. When we seen it, I instantly jumped up out of the chair. We ran into the living room, and Kayla's little sister would not get out of the way fast enough, and she was like 7 or 8. I literally pushed her down and jumped over her to get away from the door. That's how terrifying it was.
I mean, yeah, that would have been. You look back on it now and you're like, damn, that was horrible what I did, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I probably would have done the same exact thing.
I was willing to sacrifice the little kid to get out of the way.
Right. Right. Do you have any other story you want to go through, or?
I guess another terrifying story that happened to me was, pretty much every house that I've ever lived in has been haunted.
Yeah.
Except for this one, but I've changed that because I brought something home. But, I guess we can go back to, I was probably 14 when this happened. But where I lived, our house was on the end of the street, and there was a field that separated my house and the baseball diamonds.
Yeah, yeah.
So my little brother at the time was playing baseball, so instead of driving, my family just walked over because it's literally right across the street. So they ended up all leaving. I stayed at home, and I remember I was on the phone, on a cord phone, and so if you're young enough to know what that is, but
yeah.
I was on the phone with Kayla. I was talking to her, and I distinctly remember sitting in the kitchen on the phone with her making a bagel, and I was just like having a good time talking.
I was gonna say that has to be like something traumatic happened for the fact that you can remember making a bagel.
Yeah. So I remember, like, the way my house was set up, there was the kitchen, and you walk a little bit, and then there's a hallway to, it would have been to my left at that point. So I remember, like, walking back and forth with the cord phone in my hand, and just talking, just walking back and forth, not paying any attention. So I ended up feeling like something was staring at me. And I could not figure out what it was, and it was starting to freak me out. So I remember walking back away from the microwave, and I stopped and I looked down the hallway, and as soon as I looked down the hallway, a black figure walks out of my brother's room and walks into my room.
Wow.
And I was so scared.
Yeah, I mean, anybody in their right mind, you're home alone, you're 14, your parents are literally, I mean, where you lived at, it's not, you know, it was right there by the baseball diamonds. So, yeah, anybody in their right mind would have been.
So as soon as that happened, I got off the phone with Kayla, I took my bagel, and I went outside, and I sat on my driveway until my parents got home, because I did not want to go back in the house.
Wow. Yeah, I don't blame you. I think I would have probably done the same thing.
It was terrifying. I still don't know to this day what it was, but I know that there's always been a black figure following me from house to house to house, and I don't know if it's the same one or if it was another one, but
wow,
it was terrifying.
Okay, I'd say for my story, like we've already kind of talked about, like our times that we, you know, experience stuff, you know, as kids. But I think mine, it went into pretty well adulthood is where I really started experiencing like messed up stuff.
Yeah.
Like, me and Jeremy had just recently, you know, got married. We had moved into this new house, like just across, you know, town from where we're at now. And the messed up thing about it is my mother-in-law had told me that, you know, she was friends with a cop here in town. And this cop had told, like, when she told him we was moving into this house, he was like, oh, the haunted house. And she said that, and I just kind of brushed it off like, whatever. You know, there's...
Like, why would you say that?
Yeah, why would you say that? You're just trying to freak me out. But it was kind of odd. It was like almost immediately we started experiencing like weird stuff. We would experience like a few odd things here or there, but I would say it was right after the really tipping point for us is like when my grandfather passed away. And, you know, his dying wish was to be, you know, cremated and his ashes spread in, you know, the river so he could always go fishing. Well, unfortunately, when he passed, it was still like February freezing. And if anybody knows anything about Indiana in February, it's horribly cold. Like we get down to negative single digits. Like it's crazy. So we had to wait time. Well, of course, my dad did not want to take the remains. My uncles didn't want to take the remains. So who got stuck with them? Me. So I brought my grandfather back to my house, and I mean, within a week, I'd say everything kicked off.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just seen a shadow from underneath your bedroom door. I'm not even kidding. It like walked.
We're going to ignore that for a minute. Back to the remains, and within, I'd say, about a week is like when everything really started like popping off. Jeremy got up for work one morning, and you know, first thing you do in the morning when you go to the bathroom, and our shower was running.
Nope.
And he was like, what the hell, you know? So then after that, one day my kids were in my room playing a game, and we had in this house was old Victorian doors. So you would have to literally turn the door, and then there was carpet right there. So it was kind of harder to push the door.
Right.
And you could literally hear the doorknob turn and something trying to push the door open. Well, my kids instantly run out because they're like, something was in my, room. We thought, oh, it's just the kids, whatever,
Just their imagination.
Just their imagination. Literally, I would say 2 nights after that, me and Jeremy was laying in bed going to sleep, just sitting there talking, and it was pitch black, dark in there. And all of a sudden we hear our doorknob turn and something pushing our door. So we look to that direction expecting to see one of the kids. No, when the door opened, there was nothing there. And after, months had progressed and there was just more and more stuff, and it'd be too long of a story to get into, but finally I ended up getting a hold of my dad, and I was like, we need to go spread his ashes because he is not happy that I have him. Like, I really think he was trying to get a point across, like, hey, I'm here. And I swear, as soon as we spread his ashes, the activity stopped. As bad. I mean, there was still activity there before, but it was nowhere near as bad as what it was when he was there.
Right.
So I don't know.
He was like, let me out.
Yeah. It's like, that's fine, you have me, but go spread my ashes. Like, I don't want to be with you. So that's what we did.
That's freaky.
Yeah. It's like terrifying.
Anything, even if you're in your house, even if you're not alone and a door opens up by itself, it like sends instant shivers down your spine.
Oh yeah. Especially when I knew you had to push open the door and you could hear something pushing it where the carpet was hitting it.
And isn't it funny that always happens at like nighttime?
Yeah.
It's like, why can't you just open the door in the daylight when I can actually see?
The incident with the kids happened during the day.
Right.
So I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he was intentionally trying to scare us, but I just think he was trying to get his point across is like, hey,
it's time to go.
It's time to go. So, but yeah, I think that was one of the first experiences for me where I'm like, there's 100% life after that.
Oh yeah.
It's an amazing, thought to have that this just isn't it. Because so many people, I think that you live your life, you die, and then that's the end of it. But I don't believe that at all.
Right. I don't believe it either. I think that there has to be something after that.
Oh, 100%.
But, alright. So there are more stories that we can tell you of ourselves. But I think we're going to get into some of the other stories that we've received from others.
Yeah, we're going to go through some of our followers' stories. So sit back, relax.
Get you a snack.
Get ready to get scared. Because some of these, wow.
Yeah, some of them are pretty terrifying.
Alrighty guys, so now we're getting into our followers' stories. So I hope you're ready.
I don't know if I am.
When I was 6 years old, my family and I moved into a new home. Almost immediately, my family and I started to experience odd occurrences. One morning, I woke up to my bed shaking. After yelling for my parents, they ran into my room. I begged my mom to check under my bed, thinking someone was under it. To my horror, I remember I was sleeping on top of 2 mattresses on the floor.
Hell no.
Could you imagine?
No, I could not imagine. If I woke up and my bed was shaking, I don't even know what I would do. I would cry. Possibly shit myself.
Yeah.
And then cry some more.
Well, the weird thing for me is like, it reminds me of like poltergeist activity, like.
It reminds me of the damn Conjuring.
Yeah. With the bed shaking and.
That's scary.
So thanks, Taylor, for that terrifying story.
Yeah, if my bed shakes tonight, I'm gonna find where you live and we're gonna fight.
Right. Well, yeah, no. I could never. When I was younger, even up to my teenage years, I've always felt like someone was watching me sleep at night. I would never sleep with my bedroom door closed at night because I thought whatever was watching me wouldn't let me yell for help or leave my room. I had to sleep with a lamp on because I was so scared. I was a teenager sleeping with a lamp on and asking my sister to sleep in my room with me. I thought something was going to get me in the dark. I'm not going to lie, I still sleep with the lamp on today. To me, that sounds like sleep paralysis. Like,
yeah, it does sound sleep paralysis.
like that's just kind of terrifying. I mean, the thought of anyway, like anything watching you sleep is absolutely terrifying. So, when I was roughly 9 or 10 years old, I was outside sitting on our porch swing. I turned around and noticed a man standing behind our trees staring at me. He had bib overalls and a John Deere hat on, with a blank stare on his face. Fear overcame my body. I ran inside to my parents, scared to death. My parents immediately went outside, and the man was gone. We never saw him again.
Whoa! I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless.
Well, the thing is, A, was it a soul? Or B, was it
an actual person?
An actual creep, like staring at a kid behind a tree? Like, people watch kids like outside playing. They just kind of watch him and whatnot. But for the fact that he's tree,
like peeking around, watching him.
What is it, like on the Insidious movie where that lipstick dude doing things like staring behind Patrick Wilson? Like, that is my first thought when I think of that, him just staring behind the tree. Like,
what? Like, he was just gone. Like, when the parents came out, you would think that if it was an actual person, you would still be able to see him somewhere walking.
Oh yeah, being an older man.
And then they came out immediately and he was just gone.
Yeah, that's
scary.
So I'm going to go ahead and read part 2 of Jaden's story. When I was younger, we lived in a house that my sister claimed was haunted. She would tell me stories about the things she saw, and it would scare me. But in the back of my mind, I always thought she was just trying to scare me because that's what older siblings do.
True.
That is until I saw exactly what she was telling me about. I was lying in bed at night, having a hard time falling asleep, and I happened to roll over and look towards the door. When my eyes met the doorway, I was struck with fear because what I saw had me frozen. Standing in the doorway stood a tall black figure with red eyes staring at me. What I was seeing had to have been me dreaming, so I rubbed my eyes and looked again, and it was still standing there staring at me. I yelled for my mom as loud as I could, and when she finally came to the room and turned the lights on, the figure was gone. I told my mom what I saw, and she told me to go back to sleep and that I was probably just dreaming. Needless to say, going back to sleep was near impossible after that. I quickly came to realize that what my sister had told me was the truth.
What is it with everyone seeing black figures standing in their doorways or just creeping around in their house?
I just don't.
Because I know that I've seen them. My family's seen them. You've seen them.
Well, like if you remember when we was on If You Have Ghosts Then You Have Everything podcast, Kim.
Yeah, she saw
Kim had seen it too. And that's another thing. Guys, go check out If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything's podcast. Alan and Kim Bishop are amazing people. You will love the podcast. I've always been a skeptic, but this experience changed my mind. My family and I moved into this old house. I was home alone. It was completely dark throughout the whole house. I bent down to turn the living room lamp on, and a face appeared in the dark inches from mine. I swung at it, believing a person was in my house. There was no one there.
Just imagine. You're in your house alone.
Yep.
You're walking into whatever room. You go to turn on a light, and before you turn the light on,
A face is like,
a face is in yours.
no.
I would probably also swing.
Yeah. Anybody in their right mind would think if someone's in your house. I mean, but I'm sure you'd have some that would go, oh, and run.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. I would have done, and ran after the fact, after if I would have swung at it and there was nothing there.
I wonder
with people seeing faces.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. Okay, so let's get into part 2 of Jordan's story. He says, this story takes place around the time my wife and I were moving into our new house. I should also state, like before, I usually am a skeptic and nothing really scares me. It had been a long day of moving and I was finally bringing in the last of the things and taking them downstairs. While I was in the kitchen, I happened to hear distinct footsteps in my daughter's room. I didn't think much of it at first, but when I kept hearing them, I came up from the kitchen and yelled for my wife. When she replied and I realized that she was outside, I became a little worried. I went upstairs to see what the commotion was, but when I got up there was nothing there.
That's another thing. Why is it that the creepy crap that happens is usually when you're moving into your new house?
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're just waiting for you to move in and then like track you.
Well, not only that, sometimes you're going into their turf.
Yeah.
So is it really messed up?
What would you do in that situation if you heard footsteps upstairs?
In my kids' room, and I went up there knowing, I would
sage that entire room.
Sage 100%. I would be throwing blessings, holy water everywhere. I mean, you got to think, a lot of times if it's just the footsteps, they might be harmless.
Right.
I mean, not like we want to stress, like not all souls are, mean and dark and malevolent and demonic. Some of them, like we said, they just might be not wanting to be fooled with. So they're going to tell you anything and everything to get you to leave them alone because they don't want to be bothered. So they're going to tell you, I'm the devil, I'm a demon, growl at you, it's not everything is demonic all the time.
Right. I think the next story that we should tell is from Brianna, which is Jordan's wife that also happened in the same house.
Yes. So thank you so much to everyone that has sent us stories, and this one is... I should start with this. I've always been the type to be scared of anything spooky. It was just the way I was raised. I should also say that I do believe in the paranormal, but what I'm about to tell you still goes on today. And it scares me more than anything. I have 2 kids, so if you have kids, then you know how you become a little light sleeper so you can hear your children. There's been several nights where I've been woken up at random hours of the night, I think, to what I think is one of my kids saying, Mom. Mommy. But when I wake up, there's no one there. At first I thought it was just my brain playing tricks on me. Mom brain, I get it.
Right.
But the more it happens, I can't play it off as it's all in my head. I still don't know what or who it is calling Mom at the night, but I can tell you this, it terrifies me every time I wake up that nothing is there. That is pretty...
Yeah, that's terrifying.
To think, which I totally get where she's coming from, because I've been woken up thinking I hear my kids, and it's just your brain, like, kind of like a residual memory thing, like,
right,
startles you. But
if it's happened more than once, I can see where she's saying that it can't just be all in her head because it's happened more than once.
Yeah, there's no possible feasible way that
That's scary. That's scary if anything is in your house and it's mimicking anyone, especially your children. Something mimicking your children I don't think can be very nice.
Well, the thing is, but you got to kind of look at it from this aspect too. Is it mimicking her children, or is it a child? Which, that type of stuff I don't like to trust too much, but if it's a child literally calling for its mother.
Well, I guess that's true.
I mean, it could be that, but at times, I'm a strong believer that when we pass, yes, we go on to somewhere bigger, better, heaven. But I also believe that we can always come back.
Oh, I do too.
I think we can always come back and forth, and check in and stuff. And that could be that reasoning. But there's a lot of locations that we have been, specifically been to that the claim is it's a child, and I'd be willing to lay money on the table that is not a child.
Yeah. Because, some of the answers that we've received don't seem like child answers. They're too intelligent to be a child response.
Don't get me wrong. If the child's been, gone for 100 years, the child's going to pick, everything matures. But I think a lot of the dark energy we've came across is that pretends to be a child. It's not.
Right.
Like the one, certain locations we've been to. So, when I was 5 years old, my grandma and her ex-boyfriend took me on a trip to Tunnelton Big Train Tunnel in Tunnelton, Indiana. Well, me and the ex-boyfriend were walking through the tunnel. I got halfway through and stopped. I could hear music coming from inside the tunnel.
Okay, if anyone knows anything about Tunnelton, and even if you don't, it is a deserted train tunnel.
Well, there are trains that still go through it from time to time.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
So
you got to be very careful, if you ever go, But yeah, I don't know recently since they've been tearing tracks up through here, but I do know there was trains going through as of recently of last year. There was trains still going through. But it is an old train tunnel from the 1800s. There's been some deaths around the area, but I do know a gentleman's body was found inside at the bend of the tunnel. That is factual proof, so there'd be no way you'd be hearing music coming from. But let's finish David's story. I turned back and he went the rest of the way. So David's saying he heard the music, he stopped, he said, "Hey, I'm out of here." So he went back to where his grandmother was. Summing it up. She was crouched looking at something. I walked up to the top where she was, and then I seen it.
Oh.
This 11-foot black cloak looking thing. The best way to describe it is it looked like the Grim Reaper. Came towards us as it was floating 2 to 3 feet off the ground. My grandma immediately picked me up and ran down the hill, yelling for her ex-boyfriend. We left and have never been back. Whoa!
One, that terrifies the shit out of me because,
So, me and Caitlin have, there's a couple reasons. It terrifies me because of the movie. I don't know if y'all have ever seen it, As Above, So Below, when they're down like in the depths of hell and they're trying to get out.
Yeah,
and you see
yeah.
those cloaked things. Oh, that terrifies me. Is that what is it for you?
Yes.
Okay, I thought that we were on the same wavelength there with that, but damn, David, that just
terrified me. I'm not even kidding. That scares the
That is
shit out of me.
very scary. Which I have heard that there have been sketchy people doing stuff around Tunnelton.
Oh, I'm sure.
But, wow.
Way to scare me, David.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
I'm going to have a vivid nightmare tonight of that.
Thank you so much for that terrifying story. Okay, so we have 2 more.
Okay.
Do you want to read the last one, or do you want me to?
That's whatever.
Okay.
You can read it. You're doing good. I'm enjoying getting creeped out. And
By my creepy voice. Okay. A group of friends and I went to Whisper Estate to do an investigation. The night was intense and insane. The spirits literally forced us out. Me and a fellow investigator went around quickly closing all the doors so we could leave. The last door we came upon, the basement.
oh my god.
As we stood there staring down the basement steps, the hard-hitting, hooved footsteps could be heard rushing the basement steps to the top where we were. My fellow investigator immediately slammed the door shut and we ran out. There is something dark and malevolent at Whisper Estate. Thanks, Damon, for that riveting
Terrifying
story. Yes, I will agree with Damon. Okay, we're going to have a little discussion.
Okay.
I will agree with Damon. There is something at Whisper Estate. Like I said in the last video, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. There is something dark and malevolent at Whisper Estate. I don't know what it is. There's claims that it's supposed to be, the patients, the doctor, the little girl named Rachel. I don't believe that for a second. There's something dark.
I don't even believe that any of the original family's there.
No. Well, I think not so much that the original family's not there. I think they might pop in occasionally, but I think whatever is residing there was invited in.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
I feel like there's something that was invited into the home, and
yeah, and I believe that it definitely feeds off the people's fear that comes in there.
100%.
Because I know that we've been, 3 times?
2. We've been twice.
Twice.
Yes.
And both times that we've been, it's been more intensified every time.
Yeah. And the energy gets darker every single time,
Yeah.
So, this is just our opinion, okay, but we think whatever's there is invited. So, thanks again, Damon, for that terrifying account.
Because if basements weren't creepy enough, that just made it worse.
Especially, hearing hooves.
Yeah. I know, I keep watching the door. I'm like,
if I hear hooves, I'm out of here. Okay, guys, so this is going to be our last story from our followers for this video.
honestly, I'm kind of excited because I'm scared shitless.
Okay. My previous stepmother brought in an old broken tombstone into our house.
Stupid.
Why? Okay, I gotta cut the story right there. Why would it be okay for you to go to an old cemetery, I'm assuming, and you find it? That's illegal. And that's just not cool. That's a final resting place for somebody. You just don't take.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out.
I think she stumbled upon an old cemetery while mushroom hunting in our woods. It stirred up a lot of things. Oh, it's saying.
Right.
One day, my brother, my dad, and I were putting wood into our fireplace when I noticed our answering machine had an unheard message. The phone never rang. When we played the message, all you could hear was static, and then a deep, raspy voice could be heard. Bring back my tombstone. My dad immediately demanded my stepmother to show him where she had found the tombstone and made her return it.
I don't blame him. I would have too.
Once the tombstone was returned, the activity stopped.
Just imagine hearing a deep, raspy voice over your voicemail box and saying, bring back my tombstone. What would you do? Seriously, what would you do?
A couple reasons. One, I would be highly pissed to know that she took a tombstone from a cemetery.
Right.
That's sacred place. No. And then two, I would have to say, I would run. Like, I'd immediately try to find the tombstone, the location, like, take everything back.
Every time these stories get told and things like this happen, I'm like, I don't even know what I would do.
Yeah, I don't know what
my
I would.
answer is like cry and shit myself.
Yeah, I would have to say, yes, cry, shit myself, and be pissed all at the same time.
That's terrifying.
Like, that is terrifying, but also, do better. Don't be dumb.
Quit bringing tombstones home.
You don't touch that type of stuff.
Possession is real.
Duh. Sorry, guys, but anyway, yeah. So that is all of our stories that from our followers that we've received so far, and we keep getting more and more, but we're gonna, we can't share them all in one.
Right. So if you guys would like to get your story told, then just submit them into the comments and we'll read them next time that we make another one of these.
You could submit them into the comments, or if you would rather be anonymous, because you could always be anonymous with us, it's fine. If you would rather be anonymous, you can email us at paranormalcoven13@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And you guys can always submit us your stories. Or you could find us on Facebook at Paranormal Coven and send them to us there.
Yeah.
Like we said, you guys could stay anonymous, or if you'd like us to use your names, that's totally fine.
But we love to hear people's scary stories. We like to be creeped out, and those creep me out.
Yeah, those were pretty creepy. So thank you guys so much to all of the followers that sent one. If I could remember everybody's names. Kayla, Damon, David, Jordan and Jaden and Brianna, Taylor, and of course, Arleva. Thank you guys so much for sending in the stories to us. We really appreciate you guys. And is there anything else?
I don't think so, other than make sure you guys subscribe,
like, favorite,
and turn on the push notification bells.
and of course, follow us on all platforms at Paranormal Coven.
We're so excited that you're here, and we can't wait for you to see what else we have coming.
Yep. So thanks, guys. Peace out. Have a good day.